Hello. Today we are looking at the fifth line of Gate 49, the Gate of Revolution and Principles, and the fifth line is called Organization. So as we move into the fifth line, we come to the universalization of the revolutionary process, of this principle process. We know that our fifth lines must wait to be called upon in a time of crisis. This is when they will be able to deliver their practical solutions and be appreciated for them. Trying to tell someone how to do something when there's been no call, well, that can lead to pain. It can lead to rejection, to a loss of reputation. Fifth lines are naturally a bit paranoid because they live in a projection field, and they know that that field can be a bit tricky because if they don't live up to what society wants from them, well, there's a big pile of wood over there waiting for them. The exaltation says practical provisions for the needs of others in revolutionary times, which ensures support and continued understanding. A potential sensitivity to the practical needs of others. Ra had the 49.5 in his Design Venus. He said that this was his mantra all his life. He knew so well that you must bring practical provisions in evolutionary times, otherwise you're simply not useful. Everything in its correct time. Fifth lines have to live by that. Everything in its time, because this is what builds the projection field. It has to be rooted in clarity, of course, but the 49.5 is not going to make any attempt to establish those principles other than in times of crisis. Because it learns that in the nature of the second line, its harmony with the last resort, it learns to see how difficult it is to bring principles and get their support. It's operating in a wave. So when you're at the low end of the wave, that potential sensitivity for the practical needs, you recognize it, but you have no need to get involved in that because everything about the wave is selflessness and selfishness. The moment that the wave is in the selfish part, you realize the needs and problems of society. You see society needs some practical provisions, but tough. You don't feel like it. You're going to look after yourself. You're selfish in that part of the wave. On the other side is selflessness. You have your problems, but you'll put them on one side and give others those principles in order that they can have practical provisions in revolutionary times. The detriment says a concentration on the organization of power to clearly define authority, often at the expense of higher principles. A rejection of higher principles in seeking to organize others. This is very common in revolution. You have a set of principles that you use to attract everyone, and then you say to them, look, we just have to go through this first phase before we get to that. So first of all, we've got to do a bit of killing, just a bit, a little bit of purging, and then we'll tell you exactly what to do, of course, for the rest of your life. And then maybe by the time that your great grandchildren are born, well, the system might have fallen apart, and there'll be a chance for real change. But don't expect us to give you those principles that we promised you, because we can't get there until this dirty work has been done. So they're very good at organizing, and they do have that projection field. And in a time of crisis, they can bring a principle that says the end will justify the means. And maybe this is a good time to remind ourselves that the Rave I Ching was written for the not self. That all of this has to do with us being unaware and ignorant. And none of these things operate in such a chaotic way when you're living your own nature, when you are being correct according to your design. So the wave of selflessness and selfishness is what is at play here. The moment that you are in charge of which resources will be distributed, if you are selfish, you're going to take advantage of that power. This can be really heavy, actually, as an energy, because it's about seduction and it's about sacrifice. When you are selflessly rejecting higher principles, hey, that That's good. That's okay. There are times when higher principles will have to be sacrificed in order for revolution to take place. History is full of deals that have been made with the devil in order, to get to that place where the end justifies the means. Often higher principles are sacrificed, but they could never be sacrificed in the selfish end of the wave, because that's where the power trippers live. And then you have people who will bring about the sacrifice. This whole gate is filled with images of the Christ, the Antichrist, the sacrificer and the sacrificed, the seducer and the seduced. It's all rooted here. And this is a key for the nature of revolution, because revolution is operating in a wave where it is selfish and selfless. It's very easy to see Marxism as selfless and communism as selfish. The moment that you see it in practice, you can see how the wave operates, given the nature of what humans are. As long as the emotional system is unaware, no revolution is trustworthy because of this lack of awareness. Every single step that we take is a step we have to logically analyze whether it really is healthy for the well-being of the other. Nothing of the emotional system is fundamentally healthy. We have to be deeply concerned about the nature of any kind of revolution, any kind of emotional principle that is established for us, because they're rooted not in awareness. Collective logic is the only thing that can guarantee human rights, not emotional principles. They usually cry out because people don't have enough to eat. Out of that, not having enough to eat, not having enough territory, not having the protection for their own language, their own culture, out of that can come an enormous abuse of other human beings. What is so important about the emotional system, what is so important about the nature of revolution, is that you take away all of its power when people have enough to eat. Countries whose people can afford to go out to eat, who can enjoy their food without every mouthful being about survival, they don't have any interest in going to war. Food is available. The average human being gets enough calories in their body every day. It's the ones who are born hungry who are going to grow up to be our revolutionaries. If we do not feed people, they are going to rise up and take those resources for themselves. That's the law of revolution. All of the heat, all of the violence that is the potential here is eliminated when there is tribal integrity, which means that your language, your home, your food, your family, all are secure. But most of all, there is enough to eat. This is the most practical and fundamental of all resources and provisions. It's food. And we have the grounding in the fourth gate, the fifth line, called seduction. And this is a classic keynote for the fifth line. We've heard it peppered all through the 49.5. If you look at gate 59, the role gate that gives us our bonding strategies, the fifth line is called the femme fatale, or the Casanova. And so we find that society, which is projecting onto the fifth line what it really wants, regardless of the nature of the hexagram, society really wants to be seduced. And it doesn't matter what gate you're looking at, because we've got that little thing called genetic continuity. And so across the board, society wants to be seduced. When you're organizing the practical provisions in revolutionary times, well, maybe it's quite useful to be able to seduce people, might help convince them to do what it is you want them to do in order to get your revolution off the ground. And if it's done correctly, then it's not a problem. Seducing people per se is not a problem. It's when it's done without awareness, when it's done through the ignorance of not knowing the truth of who you are, not loving yourself, and therefore not able to love anyone else. That's when it becomes destructive. Mercury is on the move today, slipping into gate 30 at 11:18, bringing us a channel with Pluto in gate 41, the channel of recognition, a design of focused energy. This is the channel of the dreamer. And there are only two lessons to learn for anyone carrying this channel and for all of us experiencing this channel through the transit. The first thing is that we are not supposed to try and make our dreams come true. And the second thing is that we shouldn't expect any of our desires to bring us lasting peace. What this channel does bring is the possibility of gaining wisdom through exploring all kinds of feelings. And it has the ability to stir all kinds of feelings in others through the dreams and the wishes that they share. It's emotional. Of course, the wave must be respected. The correct timing must be respected. And we have this channel for the next 3 days. Jupiter, which has been in retrograde, is transiting. It's doing something really interesting. It's transiting back into the throat gate 35. And so we are back to having that manifestor channel, the 3635 being activated again, because the North Node is in gate 36 in the solar plexus. And so this is the channel of transitoriness, the jack of all trades and master of none. And we can learn so much about the abstract experiential process from this channel. You know, just the title alone says it all, the jack of all trades, master of none. Mastery is over on the other side of the body graph. Mastery is logical and experimental and repetitive. That is not what we find here. This is where we would get boredom and restlessness, because we don't want to repeat the same thing over and over again. It's the desire to have something new to experience. And this channel is going to be active until around the 7th of April. Now, because we have the 4130 activated through Pluto and Mercury, and we have the 3635 activated through the North Node and Jupiter, this gives us a whole stream. This is the human experiential way and the stream of feeling. Now, a stream is like a complete process. There are 9 awareness streams in total in the body graph. 3 of them are individual, 2 are collective logic, 2 are collective abstract, and 2 are tribal. And each is made up of 2 channels that move from a pressure or a fuel, so either the head or the root, through one of the awareness centers, so the splenic, the ajna, or the solar plexus, before ending their journey in the throat. These streams provide us with a fuel, a potential, a possibility, and an expression. So the stream of feeling is the fuel for a fantasy and the potential of desire, moving from the 41st gate of contraction into the 30th gate of recognition, bringing the possibility of the 36th gate of crisis and the enormous possibilities that are inherent in crisis, finally arriving at the gate of progress and change, gate 35, where there is expression to be found in the throat. So this entire stream is going to be activated in our experience for the next week or so, because as Mercury moves out, the Sun moves in. So this is really an opportunity to experience our feelings, to recognize the transitoriness of our feelings and emotions, how they can drive us into expectation and crisis. We can watch the movement of the wave, the emotion in motion. It's a good time to really experiment with anchoring into our type, our strategy, and our authority, because this is a powerful channel with the design of a manifester, an emotional manifester. If this isn't your design, if this isn't your type and your strategy, then, or your authority even, sorry, with the emotional authority, then just sit with it, witness it. How is this transit affecting you? The moon is currently in gate 33, the gate of retreat and privacy. It moves into gate 7 at 1729, the G center gate of the alpha. This is a role gate. It's a conditioning gate. It conditions our role in interaction. And we find keynotes in the line names here, because we have the authoritarian in line 1, the democrat in line 2. Line 3 is the anarchist, line 4, the abdicator. Line 5 is the general, and line 6 is the administrator. And we can apply these to any of these lines because of the genetic continuity, and they will be equally as true. The qualities there equally as true. So all fourth lines have the quality of abdicating. All fifth lines we know are the general. So this is a roll gate. And then finally, the moon moves into gate 4. This is our current Earth gate. So we already have some understanding of this collective, logical, youthful folly that is the potential here. And so tomorrow we move into the top of the hexagram to the 6th line of gate 49. And tomorrow is a double sun transit day, a double Sunday. So yeah, there will be 3 reports tomorrow because we also move into a new gate with the 2nd sun transit. So we will have the 49-6, and then later on in the day we will have the 30, both in the overview and of course in the line 1. So a busy day tomorrow. So bring a cup of tea and a nice comfortable chair and a big spoon for the Sunday, and I will see you then. And until then, as always, go gently.